Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday evening? We got more NBA today. More Knicks. Knicks Game 6. Can they force a Game 7? We'll talk about that. The schedule released about yesterday, late last night, so we know who's playing who, what week. It's looking pretty nice. But I do want to jump into our first topic because we are talking about the New York Knicks, because I was at this game. I saw the Knicks being able to clinch at least a Game 6 and not get eliminated in 5. They won 112-103 in a pretty convincing win, especially in that second quarter. So I just want to know, well, first of all, they play tonight, 7:30, so by the time we wrap up this show, the Knicks game will already have started. So I just want to know what you thought of Game 5, and then we'll jump in later on in the topic of who you think will win Game 6. So just initial thoughts, what'd you think of Game 5 and what you saw?
I really enjoyed Game 5. That was a fun game to watch. It was very close up until the very end, and then the Knicks pulled away a little bit and made it, a 9-point victory. I think you owe the victory to Jalen Brunson. Played 48 minutes. That could come back to haunt him a little bit tonight. I wonder how fresh he's going to be tonight. After playing 48 minutes in that game the other night. That's a lot. He never sat down at all. He got some help from Julius Randle, had 24 points, and Barrett had 26, so the scoring was pretty balanced, but Brunson was really the reason they won, I think. He had 9 rebounds, 7 assists, almost had a triple-double there. And, he played smart, and I think he has to play that way again tonight if they're going to have a chance to win in Miami.
It's definitely going to be tough. ESPN, surprisingly, the spread for this game was 5.5 of yesterday. Now it's moved to 6.5 in favor of Miami. But the shocking thing for me, at least, was ESPN Analytics, that they use their own analytics system. So according to ESPN Analytics, the Knicks have a 66.4% chance to win this game.
Really?
Yet according to Vegas, being 6.5-point underdogs. I don't fully understand where ESPN Analytics is getting those numbers, but according to them, they have a 66.4% chance to win this game.
They're probably looking at the injuries that Miami has.
Miami's got nothing. They got no injured players. So
they don't have Hero.
Well, he's been out
He's been out the whole thing.
So that has
Duncan Robinson's really stepped up. I think he's played very credibly. Right? He's been hitting 3-point shots. He's been doing well out there. I think that he stepped into that role pretty admirably. And I think that when you look at the Game 5, the Knicks beat them up on the rebounds, right? The Knicks had 50 rebounds. The Heat only had 34. That was a big difference in the game. And Brunson having 9 rebounds. That's pretty big, And Mitchell Robinson, he got hurt. He got hurt in that game a little bit, right? He was limping. They took him out for a while. He came back in. He had 11 rebounds. So the Knicks, if they can control the glass, right, control the rebounding game, Brunson have a great game like he did the other night, and get the contributions from Randall and Barrett, I think they have a chance to win. But it's going to be much tougher. I think the Madison Square Garden helps the Knicks quite a bit with the fans, right? That place is rocking. So whether Miami's fans can be as raucous as the Knicks fans were the other night, I don't know. We'll have to see.
I think it's going to... I do think if the Knicks win this Game 7, I do think the Knicks will close it out. I can't see them going and losing after, being down 3-1, winning Game 5, and then going into Miami, winning Game 6. I can't see them lose that Game 7.
Yeah.
So if they do make it to a Game 7, I do think the Knicks will win.
It's going to be tough to win 3 in a row. I mean, right?
It's always tough to win 3 in a row, especially against a team that's been crushing you this entire playoff series. When I saw the game, because I was at the game, first of all, MSG was probably the loudest it's ever been, including Game 1. They were excited for the Knicks at least being in the semifinals, but now after being down 3-1, there was a different energy, especially opening up the first quarter, and you end the first quarter being down by 10. You score 14 points in the first quarter, and you look slow. You look old. You're not getting any rebounds. It was just a complete, abysmal start to the game. And then you come in the second quarter, you go like, 7 of 7, 8 of 8 or something like that. You come all the way back, score 10 straight points. You may have scored 12 straight points and just absolutely destroyed the Heat in the second quarter. And that was the big difference. You outscored the Heat by 13 points in that second quarter, which was absolutely huge. Then you followed up in the third quarter, outscoring them by 7. So you had back-to-back quarters, which is something the Knicks normally don't do, and especially going in 2 separate halves of having consistency in the playoffs. In the first game, the Knicks were really good in the first 2 quarters, and in the second half they couldn't bring it. In this game, you had 2 separate halves where the Knicks took over. Now in the fourth quarter, it was bench player Kyle Lowry, and Duncan Robinson was the only reason why this game even got close. Jimmy Butler was damn near a triple-double, 19 points, 9 assists, 7 boards, but it didn't really matter. That near triple-double was rendered essentially ineffective. It didn't even matter that he was even near it. It was up to Kyle Lowry hitting 2 very, very good threes. It was up to Kevin Love, first of all, he played horrible, didn't make a single 3. Max Strus hit a couple nice shots. But it was Duncan Robinson and Kyle Lowry that put the pressure on late in the game. Jimmy Butler was rendered essentially
Robinson
useless.
had 17 points.
Yeah.
He had a good game.
No, he had a great game off the bench.
Yeah.
And what's kind of funny and ironic is
he had
that
2 steals as well.
No, overall he played phenomenally, especially coming off the bench and his history from the past couple of years. He didn't have confidence in himself. He got benched. In 2020, he was a great spot-up shooter and was never the same. And now it looks he's getting his confidence back. However, I will say this about the Heat. There's 2 aspects of the Heat that weren't here. The first one is they love shooting threes. They absolutely love shooting threes, and especially when they're up by a little bit, they'll shoot more threes to send you straight back down. In this game, they couldn't make the threes that they normally do make.
30%.
30%. And a lot of these were open threes. It's the same reason with the Knicks. People said the Heat played great defense. No, the Knicks were just missing open shots. I hate to break it to you. I'm not going to say the Knicks defense was all that good because they missed a lot of open shots. Caleb Martin had a very difficult time shooting, especially the 3-ball. He went 2 of 4, but all 4 of those shots were basically open. Josh Hart, I got to give credit to Tom Thibodeau. He loves the defensive performance from Josh Hart. Josh Hart was terrible in this game. First quarter, 3 fouls, 1 flagrant, which was completely BS. Jimmy Butler kicked his leg out. That ain't a flagrant foul on Hart. I hate to break it to you. That's a foul on Jimmy Butler. You can't kick your leg out. They got rid of that a couple years ago. But then he comes in, I believe it was in the second half. He plays the first couple minutes of the first quarter. Then he gets taken out because he has 3 basically immediate fouls. And then he comes back, I believe, in the second half and immediately within the first couple minutes gets his 4th foul. He's in a couple minutes after that, but Tom Thibodeau said, yeah, we get it. You're a great defender on Jimmy Butler, but all around you're hurting the team. He had 4 fouls in how many minutes? Was it? He played 9 minutes, had 4 fouls. It was a -11 plus minus. So the Knicks got outscored by 11 when he was on the court. He was much more damage than he was even being helpful. Obi Toppin got efficient minutes. Once again, he's not getting great playing time. I understand he missed both his threes. However, he still got 6 boards. 6 boards in 12 minutes. That's a rebound every 2 minutes. That is efficient minutes. Those are effective minutes from Obi Toppin. He doesn't need to score 18 like he did in the first game with 9 rebounds. He got 6 rebounds in 12 minutes. The second part that the Heat didn't really get to is it's kind of funny. MSG, and I don't know if ESPN or TNT or whoever was streaming the game live had this as well. It was the key matchup. And I can understand why it could be a key matchup, which was Gabe Vincent and Jalen Brunson. Now, offensively, the 2 aren't really close to one another. I think Jalen Brunson's significantly the better offensive player. However, something I noticed immediately in, I believe, Game 4, or it might have been Game 3, was that as soon as the Knicks would inbound the ball, Gabe Vincent would be basically hip-to-hip with Jalen Brunson and just tracking him and bothering him until he passed half court. He did that every possession. In this one, he got a little bit too handsy, too personal, got a couple fouls called on him. And then you had Caleb Martin trying to do it, and they just sort of blew off that. And Gabe Vincent did not have a good game. He had actually a pretty bad game. 23 minutes, you go 3 of 10, you score 6 points, you also have 4 fouls. So the Heat just couldn't play their game. And I'm not going to say the Knicks defense caused them to shoot poorly because a lot of these shots were open shots. Like Kevin Love, I guarantee you, he missed 7 threes. I would probably say 5 or 6 of those were open threes. They were not highly contested or really even that contested 3 at all. So I'm going to say the Heat just weren't able to get to their game. Now, Ken, you brought it up. You alluded to it. Jalen Brunson, Quinn Grimes each played 48 minutes. What will that do? What impact will that have in tonight's game? Now, I'm a little bit nervous here because guess what? Obviously, it's an elimination game. Tom Thibodeau does not do very well in elimination games. He's one of the worst coaches in elimination games.
Well, you got to think that Jimmy Butler's going to score more than 19 points tonight, right?
I would also assume that, yep.
And that Kevin Love isn't going to miss 7 threes tonight. I think they're going to score more than 103 points tonight. So,
well, the magic number for the Knicks is 104. Generally, against the Heat, if they score 104 or more, they win the game. We saw it in Game 1 and I believe in Game 3. They each scored 101 points. Game 1 was close. They fell apart in the second half, but they got close. Their 2 wins in this series were where they scored more than 104 points. So that's the magic number. If the Knicks hit to 104, they have a good chance at winning the game. I don't know how the Heat are going to play in this game because they're back in Miami. The Knicks, I'm going to say, have acclimated to how Miami sounds and feels and how Miami plays with the crowd roaring for them and booing them in Miami. I assume they're going to be acclimated to that. It's just a question of can they hit the shots? Now it got a little bit nerve-wracking because the same problems that have troubled the Knicks all playoffs long were still here. They have a very difficult time rebounding, and they first of all, they give up so many turnovers, and the difference between the Heat and the Knicks, they each had a decent amount of turnovers. The Heat had 12, the Knicks had 18. The main difference is, because that's a lot of turnovers, the Heat capitalize on the Knicks' turnovers. The Knicks don't capitalize. Points off turnovers, the Heat had 12. The Knicks only scored 5 points off those turnovers. The Knicks had 18 turnovers. The Heat scored 29 points off those turnovers.
Yeah, well, the other thing for the Heat is they fouled a lot, right? They had 30 fouls, and the Knicks only had 19. The Knicks picked up 13 points on foul shots, more than the Heat. That's the difference in the game.
And the funny thing is, because the crowd from the beginning we were nervous. Mitchell Robinson, and honestly, they hacked him. It was a hack of Robinson. Yeah. They fouled him, I think, 2 straight times when they were in the bonus.
Okay, he made some of his free throws.
When it mattered, first of all, he started off like 0-4 or something like that.
His foul shot is like a line drive.
Yeah, it's weird.
In.
The crowd, I was a part of this, but we were chanting "Let's go, Mitch," and that's when he made the 2 straight free throws. I think he made 3 straight before he missed another one. But it was actually Mitchell Robinson who actually, I'm not gonna say iced the game, but made sure the Heat couldn't, come back even closer and sort of decrease the lead even more because they were just trying to foul him because he can't shoot free throws. So it's all up to the Knicks now. The Heat are going to play Heat basketball. It's really up to whether or not the Knicks can rebound better. Like that's the main problem here. The Knicks are bad rebounding, and yet in the regular season,
they have 50 rebounds in the game.
No, that's what I'm saying. In this game, they're actually able to rebound better, but still, though, the main problem
the Heat only had 34 rebounds.
It's capitalizing on the Heat's mistakes. The Heat, while they only had 34 rebounds, it generated 21 second chance points compared to the Knicks, who only had 12 second chance points on 50 rebounds.
Yeah,
the Knicks don't capitalize on the Heat's mistakes. When the Heat get an opportunity to score, they generally do, and they almost. I mean, like I said, they almost did because the second chance points were more, just it didn't really affect the outcome of the game that much.
Okay, well, who do you like tonight?
I picked the Knicks to win this series. I said Knicks in 6, I believe. So I'm rocking with the Knicks. I mean, ESPN analytics is usually wrong. You really want to go with the Vegas side of things, not saying that ESPN predicts a 66% chance to win. In Game 5, they had the Knicks winning 77% chance, I want to say. Some absurd number that I didn't think was possible. They came into this game. They played their version of basketball. They shot a decent amount of threes. They made a bunch of them, but they didn't rely on the 3 ball. That was the big thing. Yeah, you didn't have Jalen Brunson or you didn't have Julius Randle or R.J. Barrett shooting these crazy threes that didn't make any sense. They shot it when they needed to. Quinn Grimes early on had a couple threes that were really, really crucial for them. The Knicks played effectively. I'm going to take the Knicks to win, send it back home. Game 7, and I'm saying the Knicks win in Game 7.
Yeah. I picked the Knicks to win tonight as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Game 7 yet, but we haven't gotten there yet. The Knicks have to win tonight to get there. I like playing Grimes more minutes than Josh Hart. I don't know about Josh Hart. I think he hasn't played well the last couple of games. So I just as soon see Grimes out there. He's a better 3-point shooter.
He's a better 3-point shooter, but
he played pretty good defense too. He had some nice steals.
No, he's one of their better defenders. It's just, Josh Hart, he puts a lot of effort, and in this game, it kind of, 3 fouls in one quarter kind of hurt you more than it helped you. And he scored a couple of points here, but overall, it was just he only scored 2 points. Overall, it was just a bad performance for Josh Hart. But we will see. Game 6 is tonight. I'm nervous as hell. It should be a good game regardless of who wins, though. But we will see who comes out on top to see if there even is a Game 7 or the Heat move on. Let's get into our next topic here. So, our Western Conference pick is over. The Nuggets went to town on the Phoenix Suns. Basically, every single game besides like 2 games where the Suns somehow won. I don't understand how they won, really. It was only Kevin Durant and Devin Booker who were really doing the damage. But overall in this series, the Nuggets just absolutely dominated game in and game out. Nikola Jokic, triple-doubles here or there, scored 53 and 11 in a loss, which that was a crazy game. Devin Booker did not have a great game. In elimination games, he hasn't been that great. So I just want to know, before we do a deep dive into the Phoenix Suns and their future, I just want to know what you think overall. Who do you think is to blame for just an absolutely terrible series from the Suns? Who are you going to put the blame on the Phoenix Suns?
I think the Suns, Chris Paul was hurt.
Right.
So that had a bearing on it, right? Because if he'd been out there, I think they would have played better. And I think Booker last night, I mean, what happened to him? He only had 12 points. I mean, he has to be up in the 30s for them to be competitive with the Nuggets, and he wasn't. I mean, he didn't have a good game at all. I mean, he did have 8 assists. That's positive, but you'd expect him to be scoring 30 points, right?
Yeah.
And that would have been another 18 points to get the 30, and that would have put him back in the game at least. Kevin Durant, only 23 points, I would have thought he would score more. I don't even know this guy, Payne.
Cameron Payne.
He had 31 points.
Oh, he was incredible.
Yeah. So I think part of the problem for the Suns was Durant didn't play with them long enough during the year, and the chemistry, which I thought was there when he came back from his injury. They were undefeated for a while, and he was playing great, and the team was playing well with him, but they didn't seem to have it as much against Denver, although Denver's probably a better team than most of the teams that they're the number 1 seed. So
yeah,
they're proving it. I didn't think they were that good, but Phoenix is no slouch, really, right? I mean, look at the players they have. They missed Paul, and I think that had a big negative for them.
They also have DeAndre Ayton as well. He was dealing with an injury too.
Yeah, okay.
That was a big one.
No, so he didn't play last night, right?
No.
So that's another reason. Those 2 factors, 3 factors actually. Booker didn't play well, Aiden didn't play, and Chris Paul didn't play.
Yeah.
So I can see why Denver won.
It's really interesting, just how dominant, especially when KD went there, because I said it myself on this show. I said they have KD, they have Chris Paul, they have DeAndre Ayton. They got Devin Booker. Without KD, those 3 already made it to an NBA Finals. They were up 2-0, and then they ended up losing to the Bucks in 6 games. They got like reverse swept, which was incredibly weird. But and then we go into the playoffs. The Clippers, they gentlemen swept the Clippers, I believe, but they didn't look good doing it. I mean, Russell Westbrook, he actually played really well in that series.
Yeah,
that was the big shocking thing for me, at least. And then you go into against, the Nuggets, who I'm going to say up front, I was completely wrong about them. I said, I don't fear the Nuggets whatsoever. There's about 2 teams in the West that if the Nuggets did play them under weird circumstances or any circumstances, I would not feel good about the other team winning. And that was the Warriors, that was the Timberwolves, and that was the Pelicans. If any of those teams played the Nuggets, I think the Nuggets would have won. Now, we may actually see one of those
matches. The Nuggets would have won?
Yeah, the Nuggets would have won if they were playing the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, or the Warriors. Now, we may see the Warriors matchup
We may see it, although they have to come back from a 3-1 deficit against LeBron, who they also play tonight. We'll see if they could, come back.
Now.
3-2 right now. The Warriors need to win Game 6 and Game 7 in order to win. We don't know if that's even possible right now. The Warriors need to do some weird magic for that to work. However, I was completely wrong. Because I thought we each thought the Suns would make it to the finals. We basically set that in stone, saying this would be.
I thought they'd win it all. Actually,
this would be. I think we each said this would be like a failure if the Suns somehow, with the team they have, they don't make it to an NBA Finals. Now I understand Chris Paul was hurt. However, in the first 2 games when Chris Paul was there, he wasn't like the team still got shellacked by the Nuggets. Like it wasn't even close. And then DeAndre Ayton, he may be one of the softest centers in the league. He had like some sort of rib cartilage tear, something like that, fractured rib. I don't know what it was. But this is an elimination game. It depends on how bad the tear is, but if it came out like yesterday or the day before that you had this, it couldn't have been that serious because it seemed like you played the rest of the game in Game 5. And now reports came out earlier today that DeAndre Ayton, because he wanted to be traded and actually went head-to-head with Monty Williams, the head coach of the Suns, in a prior season before he got paid by the Suns, he is going to be a serious trade consideration to get shipped out of Phoenix. Now it also looks like Chris Paul is also going to be on that trade block as well. 2 reports, CP3, the point guard, he may be on the trading block, and DeAndre Ayton looks one step out the door from the Suns organization. They got a new owner. What does a new owner usually do? Look at the head coach situation, because that's not his head coach. Monty Williams, in 3 straight seasons, has come up small in the playoffs. The past 2 elimination games the Suns have been in, they've been down by 30-plus points at any point in each of those games. They looked abysmal last year because I believe they lost to the Mavericks, if I'm not mistaken. And they almost lost to the Pelicans as well. The Pelicans gave them a run for their money, but the Suns ended up winning. They go into Dallas. I think they lose in 6 to Dallas. The year before they lose to Dallas, like I said, they were up 2-0 against the Bucks in the finals.
Get to the finals.
They did, but then they were up 2-0 and then fell apart in 6 games. Then they go into the next year, they lose to Dallas, and in this season with KD, they don't get it done.
Yeah, well, KD wasn't with them for very many games, and he was hurt when he was with them, right? So,
well, I mean, he was healthy now.
I understand that, but he didn't play that many games with them. I think that had a bearing on it. He's going to be with them for a few more years now, right?
It was like 3 more years, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they probably will look at shipping out Chris Paul.
And
he's getting old. He's getting old.
He's like 38 years old, yeah. But how many people want a 38-year-old point guard?
I don't know. I mean, but who would they get? What point guards are out there that they would be better?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot of James Harden seems like he wants to go back to Houston. Can you lure him to the Phoenix Suns? Say, hey, reunite with, especially if they lose this series. I don't think James Harden's going to come back to the Sixers. He just lost. They're up 3-1 against the Celtics, and then they lose. By the way, Doc Rivers, I think you respect him because he won a championship with the Celtics. He is terrible in elimination games. I think he has the most 3-1 series losses of any coach. He may actually have the most 3-2 losses as well out of any head coach. So he's not a good head coach in the playoffs, especially when his team is up winning in a series, which is a little bit shocking to me. But I do think, and there's rumor out that Ty Lue, head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, he may be a perfect spot to join the Phoenix Suns and coach KD, coach Devin Booker, and all that.
Uh-huh.
So that could be interesting. But I do think, honestly, we're looking here. What have you done for me lately? That's the big thing in sports. Sports is not really, at least in large part, a historical sort of reputation league, a reputation system. It's what have you done for me lately? That's why I guarantee you Lamar Jackson had a problem signing a deal. He got hurt twice in 2 years, missed basically all of December and January, hurt his team. You could bring that to the table saying, this is why we won't offer you what you want. We see this in sports all the time. What have you done for me lately? Aaron Rodgers got a pretty decent deal. But could he have gotten more if he won the MVP last year? Or if the Packers got off of him after that MVP season? So if the Packers got off of him the prior year, I guarantee they probably would have gotten more than what they got now. So it's what have you done for me lately? And Monty Williams in 3 straight years in the playoffs has choked again and again.
You may be right.
And again.
He may be out.
And also, Kevin Durant, talent-wise, he's one of the most efficient shooters that we've ever seen play basketball. He did not look like he had any sort of fire yesterday. He just played lackluster. It was just, he didn't really care. He was just going through the motions out there. I guarantee you, Kevin Durant, his legacy will definitely have a you screwed up by leaving Golden State hanging above him, because he can't win without Golden State. He made it to an NBA Finals in OKC, got gentlemen swept by the Miami Heat with LeBron James. Then he was actually up 3-1 against the Warriors in that 73-9 season when the Warriors got reverse swept. They were up 3-1, lost to the Cavaliers. The prior series, the Thunder were up 3-1. The Warriors came back from a 3-1 series. So he also has choked the 3-1 lead in the playoffs. Then the Warriors beg him to join the Warriors. He goes to the Warriors, makes it to 3 straight finals. They should have won 3 straight if the Warriors didn't fall apart against the Raptors. I think that's a lucky finals for the Toronto Raptors. Then he decides, you know what? I'm done here. My guy Kyrie's over there. He wants to go to Brooklyn. James Harden we could bring along. Let's go to Brooklyn. He goes to Brooklyn. One of the worst experiments, at least in recent history of the NBA.
I mean, you look at that talent. They should have dominated, right?
Yeah. They were favored in an NBA. I think they were
Harden
favored.
didn't play that well when he was with Brooklyn.
He came. He came
He
in.
was overweight, right?
Yeah, it looked like he was wearing a fat suit. And then he played his way out of Brooklyn. He went over to the 76ers, and he's
played well
like
for the 76ers.
No, he's played very well. And we've seen it against the Celtics. He's made a couple 40-point games here and there in this playoff series. And then Kyrie decides, let me go screw things up and let me have a problem with the COVID vaccine regulations or whatever. He also had that anti-Semitic situation. Then he goes to Dallas.
That guy, I wouldn't touch him.
We'll see what the Mavericks do this offseason,
I
because
bet
this is a
they
contract
let
year.
go of him.
We'll see. So KD, I mean, this was a great opportunity to win. I mean, people are saying CP3 was hurt. DeAndre Ayton did nothing in the series. And CP3, yes, while he was out there and while he's your main distributor of the basketball, you still got shellacked in 2 straight games, absolutely dominated by the Nuggets, even with CP3 out there. So you can't really say, oh, they would have won or had a better shot with CP3. No, you got destroyed. Even if, let's just say if they had CP3 in this game, they win game 6, go to game 7. This was a homer series. Each home team was dominating, or at least each home team was winning. I guarantee you, if you went into Denver after winning a game 6, they're just going to beat you again, because they've been doing that at home all series long. So I don't think you would have won the series even if you had CP3 healthy. That's my opinion. We'll never know if that's true. But I just think KD, it's going to loom over his head for the rest of his career. He can't win without an absolute ultimate super team. And I don't know if that's a ding, because if we're talking about just pure talent, he's one of the most efficient shooters we've ever seen in the NBA. But if you're talking about the ultimate legacy of him, winning titles, there has to be an asterisk. Was on, and people are saying, the greatest NBA team to ever been assembled. Better than the 96 Bulls. Better than any Lakers team. Better than any Bulls team. Better than any Celtics team.
It was a great team.
It was the 17-18, 18-19 Warriors were some of the best NBA teams.
He should have stayed there. I mean, the rest of the players are still there, and they won a championship without him.
They won 2 championships, one before KD and then one after KD. Yeah. And it was incredible to see just how, the Warriors had an extremely good culture. KD came in. There were rumors that he didn't love how it was still Steph's team, even though KD statistically was playing better than Steph. So he said, you know what? It's not my team. It's Steph's team. Let me go find a team where I could be the number 1 player. See if I can win.
Yeah, and
he's done it twice.
Yeah,
and it doesn't
doesn't
look like that's the case.
You know what? I cut him a little slack in Phoenix, because he wasn't there very long, and he was hurt part of the time he was there. I think they get a preseason together, and let's say they get a new point guard. Maybe they get one other player. They trade out Aiden. We'll see. Who are the free agents this upcoming year?
You got a couple defensive guards. You got Karis LeVert, who could be a free agent. James Harden could be a free agent this season. Jaylen Brown, he looks like he's 1 foot out of Boston already. Boston may not even pay him, because he made the NBA All-Team. He's now eligible to make a Supermax contract. And for 2 players, Jason Tatum, who's now eligible for a Supermax extension, and Jaylen Brown, those 2 players combined, the Celtics would need to dole out $613 million just to those 2 players. I don't know if they're going to do that. Jaylen Brown would be the option they get off of. So we'll have to see just how that situation works out.
Yeah.
But it could be that Jaylen Brown
be hard to replace him.
Oh, absolutely. He's the most consistent scorer. I don't care what anyone else says. The most consistent scorer that the Celtics have. Now, at the very, very peak of everything, Jason Tatum's a better player. Jaylen Brown's more consistent. Just check last year's playoffs. But it's going to be interesting. I think this is a ding on KD's legacy. I mean, I understand people are hurt, but, it's just another example of you can't win without the greatest NBA team ever assembled. It's a ding on you. And we'll see. Now, if he goes into Phoenix this next season, and let's say they get off of CP3, it's not a tremendous team anymore. Now, I don't think it would be considered a stacked team. Would it be a very good team? Yes, it would be a very good team. If he could win a finals maybe next year with, like you said, more playing time with the Suns, I think we could scribble that off. That asterisk gets erased because he was able to do it as a dominant player.
I think he's still got 3-4 more good years.
Well, that's basically his contract. So
yeah,
we'll see just how good he is. But I don't know. I do think this is a ding. I'm not going to say it's he's going to go from maybe 11th to 25th. But
he seemed pretty disappointed in the post game conference. He said, "Where I'm embarrassed."
Yeah, he should be. I mean, Jokic played unbelievable. He called Jokic one of the best centers to ever
32
hold
points,
the basketball,
10 rebounds, 12 assists. The guy is it's like he's playing all the positions.
Now I know we picked the Celtics, but I do think the best finals matchup would be the Nuggets versus the 76ers. The two-time MVP versus now the current MVP. Jokic could have won three. He could have been a 3-time MVP versus Embiid, who's still trying
to make an argument that maybe he should have won it this year.
You absolutely, you can make an argument they should have won this year. But I just think, just think about the energy that Embiid and Jokic would be playing with. I think it would be insane. So that would be a good finals. I think that would be the best finals scenario we have left now. But I don't know if that'll actually turn out. But we will see. But we gotta take a break. Coming up, are the Patriots underrated headed into this year? And are the Celtics are we surprised the Celtics were able to hold on and force a Game 7? We discuss that right after this. Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic because the schedule has come out for the NFL. The 2023 schedule has been dropped. A lot of crazy matchups. The Jets are, they have a pretty rough schedule. The Giants have one of the most brutal schedules in the entire NFL. But we're both Patriots fans. We love having Patriots discussions on this show. And it's a big year for the Patriots. Is Mac Jones the guy? Did they screw up on the 15th pick 2 years ago on drafting Mac Jones? I think now we finally figure it out. So let's get right into that topic. So the Patriots over-under, it came out that the Patriots have the lowest over-under in 22 years. 7.5 wins, they're projected over-under. And let's bring up the schedule, why don't we? Here it is. This is the official schedule. You start week 1 at home against the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's tough.
What a way to start the season. Then you go versus Miami. Still at home. Then you're at Jets and at Cowboys. You go back home for New Orleans. At Jimmy G and Devontae Adams with the Raiders. Then you're back home for the Bills. At Dolphins. Week 8, that's about what? Is that end of October, if I'm not mistaken? So it's, it's a little bit better weather than early September. But you're going to be at home early September, so that's good for you against the Dolphins. Then you go to Washington. That should be a win there. Then you're versing the Colts. Who's the Colts quarterback? Are they going to start Anthony Richardson? Or are they going to go with Minshew? Who knows? You have a Week 11 bye. That's a pretty decent bye to have. Then you're going at Giants versus the Chargers, at Steelers versus Chiefs. I think that is a primetime game. At Broncos, at Bills, and you finish it at home. You're at home against Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. A pretty brutal schedule. So I want to know, how many wins do you expect the Patriots to have in 2023?
Okay, well, let's go down through the schedule, and I'll do it for you, okay?
Let's go.
Week 1, against the Eagles, I have a loss.
Shocking.
I'm afraid. That's a Super Bowl team, and I just think that's going to be tough for the Patriots. I think it'll be competitive.
Okay.
Most of the games against the Patriots are competitive. They're going to have a good defense for sure. We don't know about the offense. We'll have to see. In week 2 against Miami, I have a win. I think the Patriots win at home against Miami. That makes them 1-1. And week 3 against the Jets, at the Jets, I'm afraid this is the year the Jets are going to beat them. Okay,
Took them 7 years, but yeah.
They've lost 14 games
14
to the
straight games
to the Patriots. I think the Jets are going to win this game. So now they're 1-2. At the Cowboys, I think they lose that one too, unfortunately. Now they're 1-3. Against the Saints at home, they're going to win that one, 2-3. Against the Raiders, I think they'll win that game. After last year, I think they'll be fired up to win that game. That gets them back to 3-3. And then against Buffalo, they're going to lose that game. Buffalo's got their number and has it for the last several years now. I just don't think they're going to win that one. Now they're 3-4, and I think they lose to Miami at Miami. They never win there, right? So now they're, 3-5. Then against the Commanders at home, they win that one. They're 4-5. Against the Colts, they're going to win that one. They're 5-5. Against the Giants, I think they'll win that one. Now they're 6-5. And against the Chargers, I think that's at home. They're going to win that one. Now they're 6-4. Against the Steelers, I think they win that one. 7 wins. Now against the Chiefs, they're going to lose that one. Against the Broncos, I think they win that one. Now they've got 8 wins. They lose to the Buffalo, and then at home against the Jets, they're going to win that one. 9 wins. 9-8. 9-8. That's what I've got them at.
Now, what's funny is I broke this down to 3. Worst case scenario, the probable win-loss total, and then the best case scenario. I have it. I agreed with you, except for the Raiders in your first 9 picks. I do think Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, I think they got a new tight end as well. In the preseason, you couldn't beat Devontae Adams. In the regular season, you had that weird Jacoby Myers blunder. Mac Jones did not play good in that game at all. You still got Chandler Jones. You still got Max Crosby. I think the Patriots lose there. I picked them also losing to the Chargers. Even though Justin Herbert had a bit of a problem with Bill Belichick in recent years, I do think this is the year where Justin Herbert gets the upper hand against the Patriots.
They're playing them at the Patriots.
I also have the Broncos with new head coach Sean Payton, Hall of Fame head coach Sean Payton, beating the Patriots as well. Besides, the Broncos had the number 1 defense last year against Mac Jones, who just came off of a very, very bad year. And I agree with you. The Jets, the Patriots do win last week versus the Jets at home. So the worst case scenario, you go 5-12. The reason why you go 5-12 is you lose both Miami games, and you lose both Jets games as well. So that would be your worst case scenario, I think, because I think every other win-loss is fine. I still think the Chargers are going to beat you, but that's the worst case scenario. You go 5-12. I'm going to go, and then the best case scenario is 10-7. You win both Jet games, you win both Bills games, and I believe
both Bills games,
and you also beat the Chargers. I would give that 10-7. That would be a 10-7.
I don't see him beating the Bills twice.
I'm saying that's best case scenario. Let's somehow if they do it. The probable win-loss is 7-10. 7-10. So I would bet the under for this. It would be Bill Belichick's worst season since he went 5-11 his first year with New England. Because I think the Patriots are just based on talent alone cannot go up against a Tyreek Hill and a Jalen Waddle and beat them consecutively. I don't see it. You're not going to go up against a Stephon Diggs. Now maybe Christian Gonzalez will be a good upgrade over what you had. Because what I've said all year last year with the Patriots, they have small, thin cornerbacks. Just look at the Bengals game. I always hark back to the Bengals game. It's a perfect example. T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase just absolutely dominated physically. Marcus Jones got mossed. Jonathan Jones got destroyed. That's a perfect game on why the Patriots need bigger cornerbacks, and Christian Gonzalez gives you that twitchiness. The only problem is the thing that Belichick needs to coach out of Christian Gonzalez is he's too handsy. He may get a lot of penalties called. I know Belichick ain't going to like that. So he needs to coach that out of him. So I think, realistically, Eagles loss. Dolphins, versus Dolphins win. At Jets loss. At Cowboys loss. Versus Saints, I'll give you the W as well. I don't think I like Derek Carr. I think he's, underappreciated in the league, but I do think that is a L for Derek Carr. At Raiders, that's a loss. Versus Bills, that's a loss. At Dolphins, loss. Versus Washington, that's a W. Colts, W. Giants, I'll give the Giants the loss here. I say Giants take the big L and give the Patriots that W. Chargers, the Patriots lose that. Steelers, Patriots win. Chiefs, Patriots lose. They're going to get shellacked in prime time against the Chiefs. Let's be honest here. At Broncos, that's a loss. At Bills, that's a loss. So you can conclude the rest of the year. Week 18 versus the Jets. I say that's a W. You take home a 7-10 record. I think Belichick moves off Mac Jones, which is a mistake because Belichick doesn't know how to form a proper offense outside of Tom Brady, which should be definitely an interesting conversation. And I think the big thing is, if they do go down that pathway, right? What did you have for your first 9 games there? How many wins did you have in the first 9 games?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 wins.
4 wins. So in the first 9 games,
it'll be 4 and 5.
If Mac Jones, because I have in the first 9 games, I have 3 wins. So we have similar wins.
I have the Raiders. You don't.
Yeah, right. If Mac Jones goes, let's say he goes 4 and 5 or 3 and 6, can you see Belichick putting in Bailey Zappi for Week 10 versus the Colts?
Maybe, but I think it depends on how Jones plays. I mean, if he plays terrible and he's got a lot of interceptions and he loses a few games because of the interceptions and they're 3 and 6, then yeah, I think there's a chance of that.
I'm going to predict the games Mac Jones is going to play bad in, and we can mark the tape here. Let's see. I'm going to get the exact time here. 4:45, exactly on the dot of this video. He's going to play badly against the Eagles. He's going to play badly against the Cowboys. The Raiders, he's going to have another bad game. Versing the Bills, I think he'll have an okay game. He might have a lot of interceptions, but I think it'll be like Week 18 last year. 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. He had his best QBR game of the entire season at that. At Dolphins, he'll have a bad game. He'll have 3 bad games in the first 9 weeks. So I think it's going to be difficult. The Patriots start off pretty brutally. Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, Cowboys. That's a brutal way to start off the season. Eagles just came back from the Super Bowl. Dolphins, you have a horrible time trying to beat the Dolphins, especially early in the season. Jets with Aaron Rodgers and the rest of that talent, the rest of that core, you're going to have a difficult time beating Aaron Rodgers. The Cowboys defensively, it's too much for Mac Jones and the Patriots offensive line that I don't think entirely got fixed. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the Patriots sort of, mesh around whatever is going on there, because I think it's an absolute mess. But we'll see. I'm going to call it again. If reports come out again in the offseason, the offense is lackluster, would-be sacks, stopped runs at the line, I'm going to come on here and say, for the second straight year, the Patriots are doomed. Because I said it last year. All the reports came out. The offense was slow. Interceptions here, interceptions there. Fumbles, would-be sacks, because you can't sack a quarterback in training camp. I'm just saying, if it starts off the same way, I think you need to accept that the Patriots are headed for they're on a runaway train.
Well, I think they're in the toughest division in football.
I don't know if this is tough. I think it's
Who's got a better division than the East, the AFC East?
I would give the AFC West the nod because they got Justin Herbert, they have Mahomes, they have Russell Wilson now with the Hall of Fame coach Sean Payton. I don't love the Chargers head coach. I think Brandon Staley should have been gone last year after he choked in the.
He's a weak coach.
It's bad. And then you also have the Raiders, who we'll see how good Josh McDaniels could be. Maybe, who knows with Jimmy G. They should, hypothetically, on paper, should blend. They worked under the same offense for a number of years while Jimmy G was a backup for the Patriots. So we'll see exactly how they mesh together and how that offense forms. But I guarantee you, if the Raiders go off to another bad year, we'll now understand that blaming Derek Carr for the Raiders' struggles wasn't entirely his fault. Now, Derek Carr did not have a great year, but Josh McDaniels isn't exactly, a great head coach. Just look at the numbers. So we'll see. I do think the AFC West gets the nod because Mahomes is like, if you compare it to the rest of the quarterbacks, unbelievably talented. Like there's number. It's Mahomes, Burrow, and then a gap.
Do you think if the Patriots go 7-10, Belichick gets fired?
I don't think Robert Kraft has voiced his displeasure since Brady left, and he says we need to make the playoffs.
Well, they made the playoffs once
and got.
They got hammered. They got hammered, but they did make the playoffs, though. They did make it with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, but then right. So on paper, if you just said the Patriots made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, great. What happened in that game? They didn't force a punt.
It's true, but they did make the playoffs,
right.
Okay?
But
now they missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs last year.
Right.
So let's say they miss them again 2 years in a row.
3 out of 4 years they would have missed the playoffs without Brady.
Yeah.
I think a lot of questions are going to get answered, I think.
You think he could get? You think Kraft would fire him?
I think Belichick's legacy takes a ding. I do, because if you're telling me,
but you're not answering my question.
No, I will. I'm just saying. I think Kraft is unbelievably frustrated, but I think Robert Kraft respects Belichick enough to understand why he's still in the league. He's going for Don Shula's record. Now that may take him 4 years to do, based on what he.
How many wins does he need now to get there?
I think he's 30 something wins away.
Is he still 30 away?
Yeah, he's like, 27, 30 wins away.
Yeah.
I mean, Don Shula had an unbelievable record. Now, I think Belichick, he's not going to win 10 games a year. I think that's a known fact, set in stone, known fact. So I think it could take 4 or 5 years to get this record, depending on, what Belichick does. Now, the draft picks weren't all that great. We'll see how Kayshon...
I thought they had a pretty good draft.
Kayshon Boutte, who was supposed to be...
I thought he was a steal. He was ranked the number one receiver in a lot of polls.
He was ranked he was ranked the first round receiver, and it could have been the first receiver off the board.
He fell to the.
He had a bad combine and had something off the field that just absolutely crushed his draft stock.
He wound up in what round?
Sixth
round. That could be the steal of the draft.
If he could perform well, yeah. If he could play like he was listed months ago as one of the top receivers, then yeah, that would be a steal. But I also wonder, why did Christian Gonzalez drop all the way to 17? He was projected a top 10 pick. He was arguably the best cornerback in the draft.
I thought he was.
And he dropped. I had him going to the Lions at number 6.
I think it had more to do with what the other team's needs were before the Patriots picked.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been.
So he was a great pickup. I think he'll be a great player for them. I think that Belichick's view is he drafts what he thinks are very good, athletic, and smart players
on defense.
They don't necessarily have the limelight of some of the players. They don't, and he thrives on that. If you come and you play well, you'll be playing. If you work hard and you show that you can do it, and you learn our system, you'll be in there playing. It doesn't matter who you are, right? Whether you're the first round pick or the 6th round pick. So. And he also thinks that he can teach these players, right? That he can educate them to be really good. And I would say that in that category, he hasn't done so well last year. Those players, they made so many mistakes. My God, they made some stupid mistakes. They lost at least 3 games with the players making stupid mistakes. So you got to do a little bit better in that area. Right. If he can, then maybe the Patriots are a Cinderella team this year. They might surprise.
I'm not going to immediately just brush it off and say the Patriots are absolutely screwed. They're done. Because they do. Hey, as much as I bash on Bill Belichick, because I think you may not outwardly agree with me, but the offense, Bill Belichick does not know how to form an offense properly. You could say, oh, Gronk, oh, Brady, all this. Yeah, but outside of the greatest quarterback and the greatest tight end in history, by the way, Brady showed that it was mostly him by going to Tampa and dominating in Tampa. But offensively, outside of Brady, we saw it before Brady, he wasn't that good. Now after Brady, it's been absolutely abysmal. I will still give him the respect. But defensively, he's the greatest defensive head coach of all time. That I think that's set in stone. You can't touch that. There's no other defensive head coach that could take like a Div 2 guy in Kyle Duggar and make him into one of the top 10, top 15 safeties in the league. You can't do that without a tremendous defensive head coach. Now we'll see how Christian Gonzalez does. J.C. Jackson was unbelievable with the Patriots. Why did they not pay him the money? I still don't know. He had, 16 interceptions in 2 years? Give me a break. You don't give him the money?
It was the system.
That blew my mind.
It was the system.
Right, I understand that.
He thought he could plug in another guy in the system that would do as well.
And that was Jonathan Jones, who was not a plug-and-play type of a guy.
Yeah, we'll see
Christian
how
Gonzalez
may be that guy.
He may be that guy, and we'll see.
And look at what J.C. Jackson did after he left. He got hurt, admittedly, but he was lousy.
When he played, he wasn't that good.
He was not good.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but I just think offense, like a lot of these picks were defensive players. You have an offensive line problem as well. Now, it could have been coaching because usually when your offensive line has a lot of penalties.
They have a new line coach.
I believe it's the Oregon offensive line coach who, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to recall, I think Belichick drafted that coach. If I'm not mistaken, Belichick drafted that guy. And I think he played for the Patriots. It was on the Patriots for a while. Then he decided to go coach for Oregon after his playing career was done. Belichick likes to do that. He has Gerard Mayo on the staff for a very long time. He has Troy Brown on the wide receiver coach staff.
Yeah.
So he likes to bring back players. He likes to bring back coaches.
Yeah, he likes to bring back people he knows and people he's worked with. And Bill O'Brien fits that category.
Bill O'Brien should be
and he should do a much better job than what they had last
Patricia.
year. Yeah.
I believe it's like senior defensive advisor or something for the Eagles now. So we'll see how good the Eagles defense is with Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
No, I'll give it to the Eagles. They put him in the proper role that Patricia could do. They didn't put him as like a QB coach or whatever. It looks like Joe Judge is back, talking to special teams now. So now everyone's filling into proper roles. So we'll see. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots do moving forward. Let's get into our final topic of today's show. The Celtics are staying alive. They were down 3-1. They won yesterday's game 95-86. There's the defense you've been harking about for the longest time with the Celtics, only giving up 86 points, which was insane. But I think the big story was Jason Tatum. Oh my God, 1 of 13 in the first half. Like that's horrible.
Yeah.
For like 40 minutes, he was the reason the Celtics were losing that game. So I just want to know, just what do you think? Are you surprised the Celtics were able to? Game 6. My bad. They were up. They were down 3-1. Came back the past 2 games. Are you surprised the Celtics are now able to force a Game 7 in Boston Gardens? Are you surprised?
I'm not that surprised, but I think that the Celtics have made their lives more difficult than they needed to. And I think that they finally woke up and made the change in this past game by starting Williams over White in the starting lineup. They went back to last year's starting lineup where they've got the bigs out there. And they go with Marcus Smart at guard and Jaylen Brown at shooting guard. I think that's the best lineup for them. It's a better defensive lineup. They play better defense, and they showed it last night.
Absolutely. I think the big thing, I agree. I completely agree with you. They were going with a smaller lineup who prefer the 3-ball. Missoula likes to shoot the 3-ball. He believes in the 3. He relies on the 3.
But they went with a big lineup to start the game.
That's what I'm saying. They changed their lineup because before they started Derek White, had Al Horford as the center. Robert Williams was coming off the bench this game, and it was reported the players wanted to use the big lineup, and Missoula preferred the 3-ball potential of the smaller lineup. Now you go with Al Horford and Robert Williams, and what they did impacted Embiid, because Embiid shot up 19 shots, made 9 of them. But if you do that compared to maybe 25 shots, those 6 other shots, they may have been shots, and then you may have gotten foul calls on some of them, and Embiid loves to shoot free throws.
Williams played great.
Right? Williams had a good game.
9 rebounds, 10 points. He did what they needed him to do. 2 blocks. Right?
Yeah.
He was plus 18. They were plus 18 when he was out there, just like they've been when he's in there, they're plus 18.
Right.
I think they'll go with that lineup again on Sunday.
I think that would be the smart thing to do. Al Horford, now here's Missoula's methodology. Al Horford can shoot the 3-ball. Except the problem with Al Horford,
He hasn't been able to shoot in this series.
He's been a horrible shooter. He went 0-7 in game 5, and in this game went 0-2 from 3. So, and hey, I'm gonna give it to this guy who we each don't think is a great shooter, and you sometimes have problems with him shooting a lot of threes. But he's the reason why they stayed in this game a decent amount, because I will also give it to Malcolm Brogdon, was Marcus Smart hit his shots.
Yeah, he did.
He kept the Celtics in this game when Jason Tatum was shooting horribly. Like, he was going for the record that Ray Allen had, shooting 0 for 10 in a game. He was going for that. He was like, 0-12 or something like that before he made a shot. He had 1 point entering the second half, and that was, I think, due to a free throw.
Yeah, he didn't have really any points after the third quarter either. It was the fourth quarter where he came alive.
Yeah, it was the
four
fourth
threes.
Yeah. The first three was right in Embiid's face. You're like, okay, that's the Tatum that I like to see. He doesn't care, doesn't think. He says, I have the ball. No, I don't care who's in front of me. Let me just shoot. And that's the confidence the Celtics need to play with. That's the problem.
I actually like the way Missoula managed the game last night. I mean, he started with the big lineup, right? And they did very well. I thought that the defense was great, and they were scoring. They got a nice lead. They were up by 16 at one point. He went to a small ball lineup. He had 4 guards out there at one time. That was interesting to watch. He didn't stay with that very long. He was rotating the players in and out. And he went back to the big lineup and near the end, and hey, they won. And they only gave up 86 points to a team that is a very good scoring team, right?
Yeah.
James Harden, how many points did he have?
He had 13 in this game.
13 points. I mean, that was they got to hope that they can contain him like that in the last game, because when he gets going and scores 40, they probably won't win if that happens. Maxey had a good game.
Maxey had a great game.
Yeah, and I'd say Embiid had a pretty good game too. He was disappointed at the end. You could tell.
Yeah.
He was very disappointed they lost that game.
I mean, I would be too. I'm up 3-1, and all of a sudden the series is tied going back to Boston.
That's right. The series tied going back to Boston. That's tough to take. That's hard on the motivation and on the confidence.
I think mentally this was Philadelphia's Game 7. This was the make or break game. This was essentially, now it was an elimination game, but mentally this is, if we don't win this game, we're screwed. We're done. If you win this game, it's like, okay, we took care of the series, we can move on to the next one. I think now you're going into Boston with a team that I think should be more confident. They were down 3-1. You come back, and now you're tied with the series. The Celtics look dead in the water, down 3-2. I mean, like, it was bad. It was just bad. I think it was actually 2-2, not 3-1. My bad. I think it was tied 2 apiece, and then you lost Game 5. Tobias Harris. I've appreciated Tobias Harris strictly for the reason that he was Mr. Consistency on my fantasy lineup for 3 straight years. He did not have a good game.
2 points.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's on a max contract. For the money he's making.
Really? He's on a max contract?
For the money he's making, he's not performing whatsoever. He's performing actually pretty poorly.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad to see. Now,
P.J. Tucker didn't have a great game either.
P.J. Tucker doesn't score. That's the thing. 8 points is a shock for me. It really is a shock that he scored 8 points. But I just want to know, what version of the Celtics are we getting? Now, I picked the Celtics in 7 because I expected it to be an absolute bloodbath. Tatum, Brown, Brogdon, Smart, Robert Williams, Embiid, Maxey, Harden, Tucker, Tobias Harris, just going claw to claw one another. It's been James Harden, then it's been Jason Tatum, then it's been Joel Embiid and James Harden, then it's been just this game, which was weird.
Yeah.
Malcolm Brogdon had another great game. Malcolm Brogdon, early in the game, was hitting his threes.
Yeah. He played very well. White played well, too, when he was in there. He hit the threes, too.
Right. No, all of his points were threes.
Yeah.
9 points, 3 of 5 from 3.
Yeah.
So I got to give it to the Celtics. They played a tremendous defensive game.
My view is the Celtics win in 7 as long as they go with that big lineup to start the game.
I think that's what they were
probably starting lineup of Horford, Tatum, Williams, Smart, and
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
That's the winning lineup right there. That's the lineup they used last year.
Yeah.
When they played very, very good defense, they were number 1 in the league with that lineup, and they showed that they can still do it because a team that can score like mad, Philadelphia only got 86 points, and they need to do that again. I think that's a recipe for success.
Here's something that I just looked at now and I'm blown away by. The Celtics was on a 7-man rotation. They didn't use their bench. A 7-man rotation. Meanwhile, the 76ers brought in 7 of their bench players to play in this game. The Celtics brought in 2. And somehow, the Celtics bench outscored the 76ers bench. I don't get that.
That's because those guys were shooting the 3.
Grant Williams didn't even play, and he's the reason why
I was surprised they didn't play him.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White took care of business, it seems. And Missoula didn't feel the need to put him in. Now,
and at one point, they had 4 guards out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Absolutely. It's gonna be interesting to see what lineup Missoula goes with. I think he goes back to the big man lineup. You got to slow down Embiid.
86 points.
Embiid, the last time Embiid played the Celtics in the regular season, he dropped a 50-piece on him. You don't want that version of Embiid to even come. You don't even want a sniff of that version of Embiid to come back.
You won't get that version with those big guys out there.
Yeah. And I got to give it to Horford. At his advanced age in the NBA, his ability to defend Embiid with no fear, I'm shocked.
He did a good job against
Embiid is such a physical player, and Horford is a smaller center. And plus, he's older than Embiid by a very large number of years. Al Horford does not care. He's going to body Embiid. Even in game 5 or 6, I believe. I think 3 straight Embiid possessions. Al Horford got a block on Embiid. Now, they lost that game. But it was just the fact that Horford just does not care. And Robert Williams, last year, he led the league in blocks per game. I mean, he's your main defensive big man.
So you're picking the Celtics tonight?
I picked the Celtics not tonight, tomorrow night, or Monday night, I believe.
It's Sunday, I think.
I don't think anyone plays Sunday. I'll look it up right now, but I don't think anyone plays Sunday. Let's see, May 14th. When's May 14th?
Today is the 12th.
Today's
so
the 12th.
It's Sunday.
Sunday. So Sunday, it would be the game 7s if they play.
Yeah.
It's definitely game 7 for the Celtics, depending on what happens tonight between
the next win, they'll play Sunday too.
They would play Monday, I think, because the only 2 games listed right now are Lakers Warriors if that goes to a game 7, and Celtics Sixers. So that I guess they would play Monday
night.
I guess
could be Knicks Celtics in the Eastern Conference Final.
I'm nervous for the Celtics if that's the case. The Knicks did a number on the Celtics in the regular season, so. It's going. By the way, that number for the Knicks game just went down. 63.3% chance instead of 66. Yeah. So we'll see.
It's still well above 50%.
The game already started, or the game is about to start. So we'll see just what that happens. But I picked the Celtics when we first did our round 2 brackets. I said Celtics in 7. I was a little nervous to start off the series with the loss at home, but it looks like I could be right because this is going to a game 7. So we will see just how good the Celtics play. Go with the big lineup. That's the smart idea to go with. What version of Jason Tatum we're gonna get? Jason Tatum made it so much harder than it needed to be. I mean, in large part,
he's got to find a way to start faster. I mean, you can't go out there and miss the first 11 shots in the game 7 and expect to win. I think that he's got to do better in the opening quarters.
Yeah,
I think. He did do well rebounding and the assist stuff, but. He's a scorer. Come on. Get out there and hit some shots. And stop trying to drive to the basket so much. Take a jumper, right? Catch and shoot. I think when he tries to drive the basket, he turns it over quite a bit.
Well, he had 100 turnovers last season in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You gotta remember that,
too. This year's a little better than that, but still, when he drives to the hoop, I don't know. Sometimes he doesn't do so well there.
Yeah, so we'll see.
He gets close and lays it up, and why didn't he just dunk it? He tries to do the layup, and it rolls off the rim.
It's hard when you have
dunk it.
It's hard when you have a 280-pound, 6'11", I think, Joel Embiid right there standing over. It's a little bit difficult, but
I'm sure.
So imagine trying to dunk over like a 7-foot, 280-pound guy. It's pretty difficult, but. We will see. That will wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. Thank you for everyone who tuned into this episode of the Harvey Hour.
Thank you for watching.
Absolutely.
Hi to Grandpa.
Yeah, #1 fan out there. Thank you for always supporting this channel, supporting us every single show, every single day. We appreciate that greatly. My name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Monday to recap all the NBA games that happened over the weekend and, of course,
it's gonna be
today.
a great weekend.
Will the Knicks stay alive? Will the Celtics win Game 7? Are the Warriors going to force a Game 7 and win? a lot of questions that may be answered tonight. We will see. But I guess we'll talk about that